Tonight on CTV, see how the possible police budget increase will affect the people of Fort Collins, as well as highlights from the CSU basketball game.
And the remains of a 40-year-old missing person have been discovered, and how Colorado State University is celebrating Veterans Day.
All that and more on CTV starting now.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Robbie Patla.
And I'm Ren Wadsworth.
With over 200 automobile accidents in the Denver area each day, the Colorado Department of Transportation are increasing safety protocols to assist motorists and reduce the risk of crashes. This $6 million patrol program is implemented to help drivers on I-25 and I-75. The hope is for this patrol to increase crash cleanup, help drivers decrease their chances of getting in a wreck, and reduce the risk of secondary accidents. A recent sponsorship from Geico allows the department to add additional coverage to Interstate 76 and 270 in Denver. We will now head over live to Natalie Devereaux to find out more about the city's controversial budget plan. Natalie?
Thanks, Robbie. On November 2nd, Fort Collins City Council approved the 2022 budget. It includes an array of items such as facility repairs, new infrastructure, and environmental conservation measures. But perhaps the most talked about budget item is police funding. Policing has been a controversial topic across the nation, and there have been movements to defund the system altogether. But here in Fort Collins, law enforcement is seeing a budget increase.
Police have been facing heavy scrutiny stemming from racial disparities when it comes to how the law is enforced. An equity report released earlier this year shows that these problems may be present in Fort Collins.
We're going to continue capturing that data. We're going to continue giving it out to our community. There's nothing that we're trying to hide here at Fort Collins Police Services.
This has been a major reason why the public is at odds with the approved budget.
A lot of our Black community here in Fort Collins, although they're very small, they are being targeted.
Fort Collins residents attended city council meetings to voice their opposition to the budget, but some feel as though their grievances have gone unheard.
When we say something systemic, it can't be changed by just one little law.
One of the newest items to receive funding is the Mental Health Response Team. This is intended to help police elicit an effective response to non-emergency calls.
Police officers are put on the front line of so many social failures, and we're all of a sudden trying to fix issues that as a society we haven't been able to deal with.
But some residents want bigger actions to be taken.
So I think unarming them is absolutely the first piece to all of this.
However, City Council remains firm in their stance on the topic.
If you're looking for political statements of defunding and reducing funding for police, you're probably looking at the wrong city council.
Even with tensions high, there seems to be one common goal: bettering the community.
I think what we really need in this society as a whole is much more understanding of other people's perspectives.
We're made up of human beings, and human beings make mistakes. We fall short of expectations, but if our heart's in the right place, we're going to hopefully be better tomorrow than we are today.
The final vote for next year's budget will take place on November 16th at City Hall. The motion requires a majority vote by 6 council members to pass, and planning for the 2023's budget will begin shortly within the next few months.
So Natalie, how much funding will the police gain for the 2022 budget?
Well, Robbie, the highest dollar build-out is for the Mental Health Response Team. This costs over $800,000. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Natalie. You know, I'm personally glad that they are implementing this mental health program.
Yeah, I definitely think that programs like this are so important for high-stress jobs like police. But this is not the only time. Recently, Fort Collins PD has found themselves in controversy. And the investigation is still underway after the police interaction at the Fort Collins Mennonite Fellowship Church. We covered a video last week that showed a woman being thrown to the ground by a police officer. The woman in the video, identified as Cynthia Wales, died on November 4th. Wales was hit by a car and passed away at the hospital later that day. Fort Collins police offered their condolences to Cynthia Wales and her family.
An almost 40-year-old cold case just got a lot warmer. Last year, skeletal remains were discovered in Rocky Mountain National Park. Those remains are now believed to belong to 27-year-old West Germany resident Rudi Moder, who disappeared after leaving for a ski trip in 1983. In August 2020, a full investigation was launched. However, due to the Camera Peak and troublesome fires, the area under investigation was closed. It was not until this summer that park rangers were able to continue their work. This time they were able to find skis, poles, boots, and a handful of personal items, all believed to be Moder's. According to the Coloradoan, while the remains were unable to conclusively confirm Mordare's identification through dental records, all items found near the body were tied to him. Park officials, working alongside the German government, were able to send Mordare's personal belongings back to his family.
A project to create an integrated water network in Fort Collins has been put on hold by City Council. The Northern Integrated Supply Project was set to create 2 new reservoirs in the county on either side of Fort Collins. These reservoirs would then connect to each other and the Poudre River through pipelines. But despite 15 years of research and preparation, the construction is being halted. City Council stated they would pause the project for a year to write new regulations to encourage local control of big land use projects like this. Northern Water expressed they had already conformed to all the laws and regulations City Council had presented prior to the delay. Fort Collins Mayor Jenny Ardent believes despite the pause, the creation of the waterway will not be impacted.
This year's CSU Office of Admissions saw yet another record-breaking applications on Free Application Day. This just begs the question, what exactly is the admissions office doing to break these records? Colorado State University prospective students, such as Ezekiel, are ecstatic to be back in person for their admissions activities.
This might sound a little cliche, but almost a little magical, to walk around and talk with people and just really kind of get the CSU vibe.
Director of the Office of Admissions, Heather Daniels, says the return of in-person tours and presentations is welcomed by families, students, and faculty alike.
I'm really proud of our office. We were able to do some pretty incredible things virtually during COVID, but we couldn't wait to be able to open our doors and actually have visitors back on campus.
This year, as opposed to the traditional Free Application Day, the admissions team decided to extend it to a full week. Daniels is pleased with the outcome.
So this year we nearly came close to 11,000 students. I think last year we were just over 10,000. So we received more than we did last year, which was really exciting. And for the 4th year in a row, we received the largest number of applications from any other institution in the state of Colorado.
While admissions will continue to welcome back in-person events, they will still tailor to those who prefer online.
If a family can't get to campus and they still want to connect with someone, still being able to offer virtual programming is really important. So we'll definitely continue to do that.
For the time being, in-person tours are on full throttle, and prospective students couldn't be happier.
It was just really special. The people were awesome. The tour guides were awesome. Even the people following the tour guides were awesome. So overall, it was a really fun experience, and I'm glad I got to experience it now.
This year's outcome on both the applications and amount of in-person events is a good sign for what the future may look like, especially when the pandemic is over.
Don't go anywhere, Rams, because Michelle Ellis is up next with your weekly weather report.
Living with someone you don't know on the other side of the wall is hard, especially if you don't know how to be a good roommate. The first thing that you'll want to do to be a good roommate is make sure that you always stay quiet. Be considerate of others when using common spaces and appliances.
Hey buddy, what you doing?
I'm just gonna need like 40 minutes. Be respectful of your roommate's privacy.
Ugh, my bad.
Finally, make sure that you clean up after yourself. Oh, fresh toothbrush.
Have you seen my toothbrush?
Follow these tips to get along with your roommates and your landlord.
Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Michelle Ellis, here to give you the weather forecast for this week. So as we take a look into what we're currently feeling right now, it's about 48 degrees and those temperatures are expected to cool down to about 43 degrees this evening. We're also going to be seeing some cloudy skies as well as some slight winds coming in from the northwest, about 5 miles an hour, and a very low chance of rain. But we're going to talk about more about why these winds are going to start to pick up in the next few days. And as we're going to start to see those cooler temperatures start to settle in throughout Colorado, Colorado. We're going to be seeing that because of a low pressure front moving its way in. Across the country from west to east, it's moving across, and this low pressure system is coming into Colorado and surrounding states around today. This is going to really be bringing a lot of rain, snow, and wind throughout those regions. And for Fort Collins, we will be feeling those wind speeds increase due to this low pressure system moving its way in. The rest of Colorado will also be feeling a lot of this, as we can see in both Vail and Telluride. They have a potential of snow this evening, so if you're traveling along the I-75, it might be something to be aware of. As we move throughout the rest of the state, we're going to see it's going to cool down throughout the evening. In the eastern side, we're going to see it's going to be the high 30s, and then it's going to be low 40s throughout. And as we move into the mountain range, it's going to start to cool down a bit more, down into the low 30s. And as we move to Grand Junction, it starts to warm up about 38 degrees. And as we take into look into tomorrow, we're going to see the low pressure system also impacting wind along the eastern range. In both Burlington, Sterling, and Lamar, they have increased winds, about 20 to 30 miles an hour, and gusts that can get up to 40 miles an hour. Now, what a gust is, it's like a sudden surge of wind, and it can be quite strong. So we're going to be feeling those across this region. And now, as we talk about temperatures across the state, we're going to start to see it's going to be quite cool throughout the day. And as we move in, it'll be like the high 50s, low 60s, and starts to cool down even to Vail, getting into the high 30s. Now, as we bring it back into Fort Collins, we're going to see a wind increase due to this low pressure system as well. So as we can see, it's going to get down to 15 to 20 miles an hour, and I'll talk more about that in the next one. And as we can see, it's going to be quite cool, about 57 degrees, and in the evening it's going to cool down to about 30 degrees. We're going to see partly cloudy conditions throughout the day, and the sunset setting even earlier than we were used to, about 4:46 in the evening. Now let's look into what the week is going to look like with these wind patterns. As we can see, it's going to be quite windy, especially on Wednesday, about 15 to 25 miles an hour, and we're going to see gusts that can get up to about 40 miles an hour. Now, as we look into the rest of the week, we're going to see that it starts to cool down, but it's going to be about 10 to 20 miles an hour on average. Now, as we look into Wednesday, it's a high of 57 degrees. In the morning, we're going to see more partly cloudy conditions, but in the afternoon, it's going to start to get more sunny. But we're going to see some afternoon clouds, and then in the evening, as it cools down to about 29 degrees, it's going to be more on the cloudy end. Now, as we take a look into the rest of the week, both Thursday and Friday, it's going to be more sunny, but we're going to see some afternoon clouds roll in as well. We're going to be in the mid 50s, and in the evening, it's going to cool down, especially on Thursday to the mid 20s, and on Friday to the mid 30s. Now, as we breeze into the weekend, we're going to see that it starts to warm up a bit on Saturday to about 66 degrees, and then Sunday getting to the mid 50s. The evening, we're going to see the high to low 30s, and it's going to be on those days, it's going to be sunny and cloudy, kind of having intervals in between. Now, that's all I have for weather for you guys this week, but stay tuned because there's more news after this.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school, because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September.
I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs, and that's still not enough to put food on the table.
I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Welcome back from the break, Rams.
The annual GIS Day at Colorado State University is kicking off on November 17th. GIS Day, or Geographical Informational Systems Day, is an international day celebrating GIS technology and discussing its possible applications in the world. This year, the theme is Mapping for Justice, exploring spatial patterns of social and environmental inequities. Throughout the day, it will feature several guest speakers and a variety of both in-person and virtual events. For the full list of events and speakers planned for this year's GIS Day, you can visit gis.colorado.edu.
Colorado State professors are on a roll in and out of the classroom. Assistant Professor of Archaeology Edward Henry won the 2021 C.B. Moore Award from the Southwestern Archaeological Conference. According to Source CSU, this annual award recognizes a preeminent young scholar in the field of southeastern United States archaeology. Henry became a professor at CSU in 2018. He also has conducted research across the southeastern United States. His main focus was examining Native American landscape modification and what it can say about the ancient civilization in terms of their social, political, and spiritual lives. Responding to this award, Henry said, quote, "Being granted this award is just so humbling. It is the most direct peer review of its kind, a nod from your peers and senior colleagues for the work you have done," end quote. Congratulations to Henry for receiving this award.
Colorado State University has always had deep roots to the military, both on and off campus. This year is no exception as the school plans out Veterans Week to honor students and community members who have served. Tucked away in the corner of the Laurie Student Center, the Adult Learner and Veteran Service Center is honoring military members with a week worth of events.
CSU is one of the best institutions in the country for veterans, and so it's easier to kind of spread out all the different activities that we want to do and host for veterans in a week rather than all in one day. Thursday we have National Roll Call, which is one of our biggest events. Friday we have a financial aid seminar, and then we also will be doing a workshop on sleep and wellness.
While the name Veterans Week is relatively new, the event has been a tradition at Colorado State University for longer than a decade. The week focuses on honoring service members and connecting the military to the community.
It gives the community a chance to get involved in veteran activities, and it gets veterans involved in the community. And so there's this reciprocal relationship that happens that's really great.
To gear up for the week, the ALVS office asked students what Veterans Day meant to them.
What Veterans Day means to me is honoring both my parents, my friends, and family who have served. I think Veterans Day is important because without veterans, I'm unable to be here freely pursuing my dreams.
As another Veterans Week nears its end, it is a reminder of the sacrifice and service thousands of Americans dedicate themselves to every year. Veterans Week will conclude on Saturday at a tailgate celebration prior to the last home game of the season. Later in the show, Brandon Cruz will let us know what we can expect for the Military Appreciation Game this Saturday.
Last month's TikTok trend known as Devious Licks, which dealt with theft and vandalism of school property, caused much damage to Fort Collins schools. Now, this retired teacher is taking a stand to encourage students to start a new trend: kindness. Former middle school teacher Tony Garcia, who spent 25 years as an educator, posted to Facebook in response to this trend. This letter was directed to all students of Fort Collins schools. In his post, he wrote, "It takes much more courage and strength to be a loving, caring person than it does to vandalize a bathroom. It takes bravery to go sit with a new kid. It takes strength to stand up for the kid being picked on. It takes fearlessness to genuinely thank your teacher at the end of class." Since his posting last month, the message has since gone viral, racking up over 30,000 likes and over 100,000 shares.
Many kids grow up with pets like dogs and cats, but one CSU alumni engineered a new best friend for a young girl in need. For Belle, a 14-year-old living with cancer, one of her biggest dreams was to have a pet. Due to her diagnosis, however, this was impossible. Make-A-Wish turned to Aero Electronics, and their employee, Victoria Bohannon-Pea, was more than willing to help. With her tea, CSU alum Bohannon-Pea engineered a fantastical pet dragon for Belle. The 17-pound beast took 18 months to design and create. The team took inspiration from Belle's favorite books and created the dragon to resemble a silkwing dragon. It's more than just looks, though. The creature has sensors all over its body that make it react to touch and mimic behavior that would be commonly seen in a dog. While it may have been a long flight for Belle's dragon to reach her, Victoria Bohannon-Pea and her team know it's finally home now.
Don't go anywhere, Rams, because Brandon Cruz is up next to give you a full rundown of the CSU versus Wyoming football match.
Awkward. Do I look familiar? I should. You might remember me from here. Here. Or maybe even here. But an awkward silence can be a great thing. It can actually be a perfect moment to reach out to a friend and ask if they're okay if they seem down. It doesn't matter how you say it.
You all right?
Everything's okay?
All G?
You all right, girl? You cool?
You bugging dog.
Just show you're there for them. Go on, Kelly. Susie awkward.
Hey, you haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
How's it going, Ram fans? I'm Brandon Cruz, back from my week off to bring you yet another edition of Bleacher Beat. Well, the schedule for CSU athletics just got a little more active. Both men's and women's basketball finally tipped off their respective seasons today. I'll give you live looks and provide some keys to a Rams victory for each contest. Plus, the college football playoff system has been completely ruined. I'll explain why on Bleacher Beat, which starts right now. We begin with what has already been a busy day in Rams sports. The 2021-2022 campaign is officially here for both men's and women's hoops, with Moby Arena hosting a season-opening doubleheader today. The girls' squad was up first against Colorado Christian, which tipped off at 5. And in fact, that game actually just went final. Here's a quick summary of the action. CSU women's basketball got the win, 77-42 against Colorado Christian. McKenna Hofschild only had 6 points, but Anna Prim led the Rams with 14 points, so a good start for the Rams. And though a brief intermission follows, the men cap off this exciting night by battling Oral Roberts. Favorites to win the Mountain West, CSU will look to make a tournament run similar to that of ORU last season, when the Golden Eagles upset both 2-seeded Ohio State and 7-seeded Florida en route to a Sweet 16 appearance. You can basically copy and paste the roster from last year because the Rams returned all 5 starters. And if you don't think experience is a luxury to have, just look at Baylor's national championship team a season ago. For CSU, Isaiah Stevens and Kendall Moore command the offense, while David Roddy leads the attack in the front court. Pushing the pace with speed and precise shooting is at the forefront of the Rams' identity, and they should be such a thrill to watch as the season progresses. It all starts with Oral Roberts tonight. The Golden Eagles do have some offensive fireworks of their own, but the story in this one will be CSU's defense. The Rams actually posted a higher efficiency on that side of the ball a season ago, so expect that to be the deciding factor in tonight's matchup. And that's not all I've got for you. Volleyball is also on the court right now, just 65 miles north, taking on the Cowgirls of Wyoming. The Rams swept the first match between these two in Fort Collins back in late December. Over a month later, they look to complete the season sweep and earn Border War bragging rights. Let's get an update from Laramie. CSU is currently up 1-0. They're currently leading 16-14 in the second set. Coach Hilbert isn't on the court though. He's not in the game right now for CSU on the sidelines due to testing positive for COVID-19. If the Rams can pull out the W, they'd improve to 13-2 in conference play, extending their lead to a game and a half over second-place Utah State atop the league standings. Okay, that was pretty encouraging stuff with basketball starting and volleyball cruising, but now we need a reality check with college football. Now don't worry, I won't be discussing CSU's embarrassing loss to the Pokes this past weekend. You heard enough of that during yesterday's sports show. Instead, let's take a broader look at the college football landscape and why the current 4-team playoff system is completely broken. I've got 3 points here. Number 1, a team's success is now defined by whether you're in the playoff or not, which doesn't allow for any sort of program growth. We've shoved too much meaning inside these 4 teams, which is way too narrow of a landscape in such a large sport like college football. And the significance of playing in other bowl games, especially in the New Year's Six matchups that aren't part of the playoff, has also been diminished. These games are now like the NIT of college football, which is just bad for the sport.
The second problem is the way the committee is currently structured. 13 people sitting in a room talking with one another isn't anywhere near what you'd want to do if you wanted to end up with a data set that wasn't unbiased. If you've ever taken a statistics course before, this is the bell curve. We need more variables, more members or other committees that can throw out biases to get to that fat part of the bell curve, and thus more accurate rankings. And my final point is this: the committee devalues the actual games on the field. For example, Oregon and Alabama both have what I would consider to be bad losses, far worse than Ohio State, Michigan, or even Notre Dame. And yet, Oregon and Bama are ranked higher than those three teams. The head-to-head result only matters when you're comparing schools that have similar records, which is why 2-loss Texas A&M is not ahead of 1-loss Alabama. So what the committee is suggesting is that it pays to lose to a lesser opponent? Well, that doesn't make any sense. It's a mess, it's frustrating, and we've also got two standards of proof, where we give the benefit of the doubt to powerhouses like Bama or OSU because it's just more likely than not that they're a contender. Meanwhile, if you're Cincinnati, boy, you have to prove that beyond all reasonable doubt, you're one of the best 4 teams in the country. It's a civil versus criminal case, which just isn't fair. The criteria for grading these teams needs to be way more consistent. And I see expanding the playoff as the first reasonable step to help even out this chaos. All right, I think that's enough talking from me today. Be sure to catch Cam's Corner on Thursday for more sporting news, and stick around for entertainment as Noah Pasley concludes tonight's show. I'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help.
You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home.
I blew on him.
Hello all, and welcome back to yet another week of Tuesday Night Entertainment here at CTV. I hope everyone has been taking good care of themselves this week, and thank you for tuning in. As usual, I'm Noah Pasley. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling chilly. There's little I'd rather do than bundle up inside and shiver under some blankets. But even in the cooler weather, plenty are taking to the outdoors for this iconic race. Intrepid heroes will be taking to the hills this weekend for the Horsetooth Half Marathon, happening on Sunday. The race will start from the site of Hughes Stadium and work its way up to and around Horsetooth Reservoir, before finally arriving at Fort Collins' very own New Belgium Brewery. If you're looking to get active outdoors this week, but the 13-mile trek is too intense for your taste, check out this 5K for a good cause instead. The 4th annual Community on Tap race is back, benefiting the Veterans Plaza this year, an organization that helps allocate funds to local organizations that help veterans. Runners can register online for the Saturday morning 5K, and the ticket includes a breakfast sandwich from Snack Attack and a pint of your choice from the Odell Brewing Company. 100% of ticket sales go to the Veterans Plaza. Okay. But what about ways to give back to the community that don't require me on my feet? Well, the Lincoln Center has the perfect opportunity for you. In conjunction with the Fort Collins leg of the National Broadway Tour of Cats, the Lincoln Center is giving back to the community.
For many years, the Lincoln Center has actually partnered with local charities and organizations during the giving season to give back to our community. And so this year, with having Cats, the musical, coming to the Lincoln Center, it was a really just natural partnership, and Animal Friends Alliance is well known within the Fort Collins and Northern Colorado community. So it was the perfect partnership for us. It's just neat to see that so many people in the community come to us for shared experiences, whether that is in the realm of arts and entertainment or for that community feel.
The impact of Cause for Claws is profoundly felt at the Animal Friends Alliance.
It'll make a huge difference for us, especially kind of going into the slower fundraising season, to be able to fill some of our needs through donations. On site, we can have somewhere between 60 and 90. Not all of them are on the adoption floor at any given time, but we also have, in addition to that, right now it's over 300 kitties who are in foster care also, so we're providing care for them as well. Prettiest little cut. Having those sorts of donations really helps us focus the money that we have on the care of the animals.
Above all, the AFA is very excited to expand their services to the Fort Collins community. Fort Collins, thank you once again for having me. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and make sure to tune in tomorrow for another rockin' episode of Local Beats.